Hello, 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 welcome back. Yes, I know it's a little bit odd. I'm doing design work on a different day because I have changed how I'm doing things. And going forward into the future, it's going to kind of stay a little bit like that. Um, I'm doing design work on a day so that I actually have 2 days off from live streaming. Rather than doing 5 days or 6 days of live streaming, I'll do 5 days. And we're going to do some design work today. A bunch of you are already making sort of comments about where we're going with this. My suggestion to you is feel free to put your comments in, but you're probably not quite where I'm going with this. It's all right. Grab some food, some drink, make sure you're comfortable, and we'll get started. Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Weller, and today I want to talk about redesigning, remastering, making a particular playable race. Now, the skeleton. The skeleton is where I'm heading, and it's not for the reason you might think. And I wouldn't even say, in many respects, it's a true playable race. This is one of those times where I'm making something really for myself and my group because of the way that I play the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my design goals while you speculate as to what I'm up to. Thank you to those of you who are saying happy birthday. Yes, my birthday was yesterday, and I will still not reveal what my true age is. I'll let people continue to figure that out or decide what that might be in the poll I put up on my community tab. Anyway, so what are my goals for today? So I want to keep the race fairly simple. Again, even though I'm using the skeleton and saying it's a playable race, it's not really a playable race as in you start off as a skeleton. That's not really my intention. Because I don't usually make the decision about whether a player will continue playing their character, I leave that up to them. If their character is dead and all that's left is the skeleton of their body, then we might use the skeleton as a way of bringing them back into the game and let them play a skeleton. I've let people play as a zombie. I've let people play as a revenant. I've let people play as a ghost. There's a bit of a hint there about what we might be seeing in the future. And usually what I do is I use a template, but I just do it on the fly. Instead of doing it on the fly, I'm building it, okay? Because I know the time will come where somebody will say, I want to keep playing my character, but it's all that's left is my skeleton. And I'll say, well, let's just play you. You just play as the skeleton. So it's really around when you die, what happens to you. This is where my head is at, okay? 71, thanks. I want to make sure that the race or species, or really the template, the skeleton template, has features that are working biologically for it, which is really difficult because a skeleton doesn't have that much in the way of biology because it's a skeleton. So this is going to be really quite weird. I'm not really concerned about the species, race, or the template for the skeleton being balanced. I just want it to mechanically work the way I think it should work. And I'm going to talk about dark vision. Dark vision is highly inappropriate for a creature that doesn't have any eyeballs. So we're going to have to do something with that. In the past, I say that I trim dark vision, remove it, or trim it down to 30 feet, but that's not really going to work with a skeleton. So we'll get to that. I want to make sure that ability score adjustments can allow for some choice and fit the biology, and yet the skeleton has no biology really to make other than the bones are left. So this is going to be weird. I want to eliminate any kind of short or long rest mechanics, so you won't see them. So don't even put them forward because I'm not going to use short or long rest mechanics in anything, okay? I don't plan to use bonus actions. I don't plan to use reactions. When I do a race or species or a template like this, I don't want to have those mechanics there because the more I design around not having them there, the more likely your game is just movement, action, and that's it. And the only way that bonus actions and reactions get to flourish is if designers keep making stuff or shit around that. And I'm not a fan of them, okay? I like 5e, but I just want it trimmed down a little bit. So that, and it's got to work for me, right? My home group needs to like and agree to these changes, and they are ruthless power gamers, but they're also highly experienced, so they know what they're talking about, and it needs to work and make sense to me. So that's where my goals are for today, which sounds like a lot of gobbledygook, and it won't appeal to everybody, okay? I'll make it clear when I do these sorts of things, particularly this, I'm not really here to be. I'm not here to do something that is viewed by a large portion of the community as a great idea. I just want it to work the way that my game runs, if that makes sense. Hello, CR. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Okay, so let's address the chat. I'll do that before I put up my screen and show you what I have. I have, as it happens, I have already started. So I've been cheating a lot. Okay, so let's go through and let's acknowledge everybody here, because obviously you've taken the time to come and say hello and say happy birthday. So let me do the courtesy of acknowledging you. Hello, Negative Space. He doesn't like monster playable races. Okay, so again, I want to make it clear. Personally, you don't have to use them. When I make these things, I don't expect that everybody will use them all the time. But there are times when my group likes the idea of playing an all goblin or all gnome party. And so, yeah, it's nice to have these things around. And as I said, I like to screw with my players a lot. I mess with them big time. And, you know, the time that somebody came back as a pile of shit was quite entertaining. And they actually weren't that upset, frankly. So this is, again, me me messing with my players. I know they'll love it. There's going to be somebody in the group that I'm sure John will just like, yeah, I want to die again. I'll come back as a skeleton. I know he will. I know he's going to do that. But anyway, so thank you for the band birthday wishes. You are incorrect. I have no intentions of including resistance to piercing damage to the skeleton template and playable race. Do you know why? Because you can still put a sharp implement through a skeleton and a skull. Like the skull, it's quite common. It happens all the time. So, you know, a blade is going to go through, you know, and a bludgeoning weapon is still going to smash a hole. So that isn't really something I'm considering. Is the human body any better resistant to piercing damage by having the addition of flesh, but it's also made of bone? So I don't think it's going to mean anything. So I don't intend to include that at all, actually, Negative Space. Surprisingly, immune to suffocating and airborne poisons. Yes, you're right on the money. Yes, poison is a bit of an issue. Suffocating, that won't make sense at all. So we got that's sorted out. We're going to get that happening. Okay, and Fred Huber is a patron. Thank you for being here. Significant weight reduction versus the original creature. No muscle, so strength is limited by the spell that raised the undead. Again, I don't want to get complicated either. Do you know what I mean? If you're playing as a skeleton, we're dealing with magic. I mean, you're literally a magical species or race or template that you're using right now. So logic, there's not a lot of logic to worrying about muscles and strength. That would be my opinion of the whole process. I mean, how you do that is up to you, but that's where my head is going. My guess is he will go for dark vision. No, you're wrong. I'm not going for dark vision at all. I can guarantee you that dark vision is on the chopping board. Being near living creatures is painful. I'm evil. Yeah, okay, yeah. I kind of figured you're going to have added something like that. Hello, Pale Rider. How are you? You guys have got some interesting conclusions that you've drawn from all of this, but don't worry, the Google document has been started. John, hello, thank you for the happy birthday. I appreciate it. A gory picture. I couldn't find a skeleton, so I just gave you a gory picture. I just thought, like, let's give him a gory picture. Now, Chimera. God, I'm going to get your name butchered. I'm terrible. Chimera? Kimura. I think it's Kimura. You tell me if I got your name right or not. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. And no, I'm not 71. That's why it was not on the poll as an option. Being around, okay. Anyway, CR, I think. Hello, Nacho. Nacho Man is also a patron. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Can't heal someone. Okay, so you're partly going in the direction I'm thinking. I see what you're going with this. I understand. Are we ready to get on with it and move away from me responding to chat? Have I acknowledged everybody? Are we happy? A pirate skeleton. Oh, of course, because Pirates of the Caribbean, of course, absolutely. Yes, I know some people have made gnomes a monster race at their table. We're definitely going off topic here. Let's go to the stuff. EC, hello EC. Okay, hello Big Kid. Big Kid is a moderator and a patron. Thank you for being here. Let's just go to the document, shall we? Let's start working. I'm not going to use my phone to track your chat. Why? Because I just don't want to. It's too hard. It's the last day of the week as far as I'm concerned in terms of YouTube. So this is I'm just going to put here hello. Okay. And this is let's put in let's put in something and let's ask you something. Do you think there should be a playable skeleton race or template? Which, let's get real, nobody's opinion is particularly important in these things, okay? But let's ask the question anyway. For Dungeons and Dragons 5e. Let's ask that question. Do you think there should be a playable skeleton race or template for Dungeons and Dragons 5e? And let's do the yes option. Let's put in the no option. Yes, I know I should have done this beforehand. Undecided, because you can be undecided. Or you just don't care and you're just here to watch and listen. Just watching. Let us put in the poll and see what people have to say. Okay. All right. Dear. All right. Okay. Let's get on with this. Right. I'll put in my poll. You start voting. Please be honest. I'm not going to take offense to you saying, I hate the idea, Fred. I think it's a terrible idea. Because it's all right. I don't mind. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's have a look at what I've kind of got lined up. So in yellow, this is really just fluff. I'll write out the fluff when I can be bothered. Right now, I'm not going to leave it in yellow. So ability score improvements. It's clearly an undead creature. If you're being a skeleton, I think you're definitely an undead creature, right? Fair enough. Seems good to you. Cool. Wonderful. I think that's definitely the case. So we're gonna stay with it's an undead creature. You're an undead creature, okay? Skeleton. Age can be any age and last for centuries due to the magic that helps continue to helps them to continue to walk the world. This is much like the zombie that we included. So I've used pretty much the same sentence structure for that. In fact, I have used exactly the same sentence structure. So it's the same. Okay, so that's that little bit there. The next thing is, something like size. I'm fine with you being whatever size, whatever's going to fit whatever you were before. So we're quite broad, like 3 feet to 7 feet, and heck, let's just go to 2 feet. I mean, if you want to be 2 feet tall, I don't care. Okay, 2 feet to over 7 feet. Small or medium, you decide what the heck it's going to be. I don't, it'll be based off whatever you were before, right? Before you died. Because the only point to playing a skeleton is that you must have died at some point. The skeleton, I'm going to give it 30 feet. Well, actually, we could change that to whatever your base speed was when you were alive. That might actually be smarter, would it not? Or 30 feet if you doing something crazy like you decided we're going to start my whole campaign and everybody's going to be a skeleton. You're all dead. You're all dead creatures. I suppose that's possible, right? You could have a game like that. Would it be the end of the world? Probably not. Anyway, let's have a look. Your base walking speed is whatever it was when you were alive, or when whatever, or 30 feet. It'll be one of those. Figure that out. Next. Going down the list. Dun 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 dun. Pardon me. So let's go back to ability scores. You'll notice I haven't highlighted this. Why have I not highlighted it? So I've made it, when determining your ability score, ability scores, increase one score by 2 or increase a different score by 1. Otherwise, increase 3 different ability scores by 1. Do you know why it is as flexible as that? So that it can be laid over the top of any race that has died. You'll notice, you know, like the whole structure for this is essentially not to, I don't believe that skeletons necessarily have any more constitution than any other playable race necessarily. The monster stat block for 5e obviously says that they're really good with constitution and their dex is quite high. But it isn't going to make any sense. That's the monster skeleton. But if we're playing with a character and their character dies, we need to be able to overlay the ability score increases easily, which means if you played a human, or if you played a goblin, or if you played an elf or a dwarf, you can lay this over and you don't have to change any of the numbers. And I'm doing this quite deliberately, okay? I don't want you to have to rework all the maths if you decide to play the skeleton. But I still want it to have some sort of flavor and mechanics that seem skeleton-like. Does that make sense? Just throwing that out there. Now, we're going to get into things like vision, and we're going to get into things like immunities and blah-de-blah-de-blah, okay? And there's a thing missing off here. Like you'll notice that I have not included that much. I don't expect the template for the skeleton to be an enormously complicated process at all. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you a question in the chat, and also that gives me a chance to check up on everything. I'm not trying to create Skeletor, if you're wondering. Okay, here we go. Let's go hashtag. What sort of senses or vision should a skeleton have? That is my question. What sort of senses or vision should a skeleton have? Yes, I'm going to allow the skeleton to talk. And I don't know if I did that. Did I do that with the zombie? I don't know if I took away the ability to speak. But I do know that I have the template for that, so I can check. Anyway, would an Aarakocra have a skeletal wings and be able to fly still? That's a good question. I'm not writing it up. So, for example, I'm not writing it up exactly like the zombie, the skeleton, because the wings don't really function. They're just bones now, right? They don't have feathers attached to them. There's no membrane there anymore. It's kind of gone. That's a great plot hook. Have two characters, no, undead, and then their flesh rots away, and they're just bones. Well, I mean, that's if you want a group that want to play as skeletons. Skeletal form must be destroyed in order to successfully resurrect. So I'm going to talk about that. Fred Huber, You're on point with that. I've already started thinking about that. It's already started to be worded in the document. You're talking about jester, John? A jester? Make it Pinocchio. I just want to be a real boy. Adamantium coated bones. No, no, we're not doing adamantium coated bones, Pear Sherm. Hello, Pear Sherm. How are you? Your backstory. Okay, all right, you got a backstory now. Yeah, look, playing as a skeleton is seriously dependent on the campaign and the adventure you're playing. Absolutely. Dear. I didn't quite pick an image of Skeletor, but close. Close, right? Okay, so you guys are answering that question. Let me go back to the document and show you where my head is at with this. You guys are going to get such a shock from this, I know right now. So my next logical thought with regard to the skeleton was vision and senses. And we have a bit of a problem because you'll see magical dark vision, which I used for the playable zombie. There's nothing left. It's not even decayed flesh. You got no biological eyes at all. So I was thinking very, very hard about this and how it should work. And I'm tempted to use what we used for the zombie. Okay. So that is, you have lost your normal biological eyes when you die. When you die, as they decay, but you still have superior vision in dark and dim conditions due to magic. And I've been thinking more and more about this, and I've been thinking, I mean, the stat block doesn't represent this. The stat block says you have dark vision. For 5e, D&D monster, skeleton, dark vision. Got it. I understand. But the more I think about it, the more I think that's the wrong way to go, because it doesn't make any bloomin' sense. If I had a chance to redo the skeleton, stat block or monster, I probably would change the kind of sense they have. I probably wouldn't give them dark vision. Seriously, I probably would not give them dark vision. I don't think it's the right type of vision. And so I've been thinking very hard about the skeleton. Because I don't want to do it the way that it's here. I know it fits the stat block, but I think the stat block for 5e is kind of garbage. And since I want to fix it, so I need to think in terms of, if I don't have really any biology for my eyes, whatever way I'm sensing things has got to be magical. Yeah, are we starting to realize where I'm heading with this? I don't know if you guys know exactly what I'm likely to do, but no, I'm not going to give it true sight. Okay? I'm not looking to give it dragon vision or anything like that. But I'm seriously considering blind sight. Okay? A monster with blind sight can perceive its surroundings without relying on sight within a specific radius. So you don't have any vision really. You don't have any eyeballs. So this kind of works. Creatures without eyes, such as grimlocks, and skeletons don't have eyes either. And grey oozes typically have these special senses, as do creatures with echolocation or heightened senses such as bats and true dragons. If a monster is naturally blind, it has a has a note to this effect, indicating that the radius of its blind sight defines the maximum range of its perception. So I think what we're dealing with sight, hearing, and smell that's magical, because that would make no other sense. So hate me if you must. Blind sight. I'm giving it blind sight, okay? Sorry, people. You have lost your normal biological eyes when you die, as they have decayed, or been removed. Okay, so you have lost your normal biological eyes, ears, and is it nose? Nose. When you died, as they have decayed or been removed. But you still have here we go, magical senses. You can detect creatures and perceive your surroundings. Surroundings within 60 feet of you. So we're going to have to get, but you cannot discern color. That's it. We're going to get rid of the color. You can't discern color. Or bright light. Bright light, only shades of grey. We've given you very primitive senses. Okay, I think that is really where we're going with the skeleton. Is that more powerful than dark vision? Of course it is. But again, you're never really going to use this unless your character perishes horribly. Or your dungeon master says, yes, you can play this thing, and I will tell off Fred if I think it's garbage and caused a lot of problems for me. But that's what I want to do with the vision and the senses. Is I'm just going to give it blind sight 60 feet, okay? Because I think that probably makes the most sense out of everything. Next, I'm going to go to languages. I'm going to come back to immunity and undead nature, because undead nature is pretty obvious, so I don't think we need to worry too much about that. There's a little bit of stuff that we need to add in here, but we'll get there. Languages. You understand all the languages that you knew while alive, but can't speak all of them anymore. You can speak one language that you knew while alive, but can't read or write. And I think what I will do is, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do what I did with the zombie. You can understand languages, but you can only speak one of those languages. So you're a little bit special. You're a special skeleton, okay? You're not the standard skeleton, obviously. You're a special skeleton. And as such, we'll treat you as a special skeleton. So you get to speak one of those languages. So if you knew 3 languages or 2 languages, you pick one of those, and that's the one you can speak, but you can't read it or write it anymore. Yeah? I think that's where we'll go with that. I might change my feelings around that, but I think that's fine at this present time. Is a zombie going to be any better at speaking than a skeleton? Is the lack of flesh going to be a thing? I'm going to say down to you're a magical creature. You're basically a magical creature now. You're a magical monster creature thingy, right? So that's what I'm going to do with this. Okay, that's that little bit here. Next, undead nature. As a skeleton, you don't require air, food, drink, or sleep. You can't be healed by magic, as somebody had mentioned before, like healing word or cure wounds. You can be forced to flee or be destroyed by turn undead special abilities. Yes. You are an undead thing, so you can be turned. If your skeleton character is resurrected by magic or spells, they return to life as a living creature, not a skeleton, but retain all of their memories. And that is that. That was nice and easy because I've already written that in the past. Ooh, talk about making life easy for myself. Now, we're not finished. It looks like we're finished. He's like, oh, you've only got to tidy up this here, Fred, and you're all done. And yeah, but we're not finished. Okay. So before I go into that, I'm going to put a lozenge in my mouth. I'm going to read the chat, and I'm going to see what people have to say about what I've done so far. Be kind, people. Okay, so here we go. Hashtag. What else does the skeleton, race, species, or template need? Is there anything missing? That would be the question. I'm going to have a drink of water, put a lozenge in my mouth. I'm very, very curious as to... I see that a few people have decided, oh, I've had enough. This is not what I was looking for. That's fine. That's fine. I knew it was going to be a shock when somebody said, saw me put in blind sight for the skeleton. I was expecting something to happen. Anyway. Really, you reckon, Pearsham? Inflict them with... story. Yeah. Sees the world through the ethereal plane. If cut off from the plane, they are blind. I feel like that's a ghost. I feel like a ghost seeing into the ethereal plane makes sense. I don't think we need to do that with the skeleton, though. I don't think that they're... Yeah. I mean, you could, but I don't think I'll do that in this case. But thank you for the offer and suggestion. John, skeletons don't normally naturally talk. No, they don't. Absolutely. But they can sort of ghost whisper and make hissing sounds. It'd be normally difficult according to other materials, and they sort of have negative planar sonar. Do they? When was the last time you talked to a skeleton? I know I never have. Not so far. Not so far. If you can talk, you can fly. Yeah, right. Okay, maybe they could see everything in shadowy black and white. Actually, I like the idea of black and white. It doesn't have to be grey. Black and white's not a bad idea. Let's give them like yeah. Why not? You can't discern colour or bright light. And only see in black and white. I think that's a good idea. Magical vision's kind of be a strange thing, right? So let's do that. I'm for that. Let's do that. Yeah, like Frodo wearing the ring in Lord of the Rings. Absolutely. Negative space, that's a good idea. I'm all for that. Great. Colour blind sight. Yeah, you can't see in colour. If the magic creates things in the ethereal, it solves things like flying, muscles, and other. Yeah, but I don't think if you wind up being an Aarakocra and then a skeleton, I don't think I want you to be able to fly as a skeleton. Do you know what I mean? I don't really. Yeah, I don't think I want to have that combination going on. I don't really. Yeah, the skeletons walk in, baby. You're taking the bus. Okay, no train. No, no planes for you. I think there is a difference between good, evil, positive, negative energies, planes. Okay, all right. We're not really worrying about that right now. In terms of the fluffy side of stuff, vision only in darkness. You want to give it vision where it can only see in darkness and nowhere else. Oh, that's pretty rough. Pretty rough. No. Well, because I just don't think that dark vision sort of suggests that there is some sort of eyeball or vision going on. So that's why I gave it blind sight. I think blind sight's a better representation. If you don't have eyes and the skeleton doesn't have eyes, then it sort of makes more sense, I think, that it has blind sight. I kind of like the idea that it has blind sight too, because it changes a lot of the things that you would be able to do against a skeleton. And also, when I remaster the stat block for the skeleton, that'll really mess with players. My players will have a bit of a shock. I figure the magic animating them gives a magical facade of senses that they had in life. Yeah, to a certain degree, I think it probably does, but I don't want it to work exactly the same. But I get what you're saying. Does the skeleton know it's a skeleton? If a skeleton falls in a forest, did anybody actually hear it? Can you actually hear a skeleton falling in a forest? Normal. Yeah, existential questions here, Pierre Sherm, beyond my capacity, as you know. Yeah, the playable skeleton is not the monster skeleton, Pale Rider. That's exactly where I'm going with this. One, because the skeleton that's the monster, I tend to change anyway. It is only inhabited by magic and the soul. Yeah, and that's it. It's not got a negative plane or a demon or a devil or an evil soul animating the skeleton itself. There's something else going on here. Yep. That's exactly where I'm going with this. Okay. Can't see reflections in mirror or water. Where did you get that one from? Isn't that the vampire? Just give it time. We'll do a vampire, because I've turned more than a few of my players into werewolves and vampires and let them continue playing the game. Do you know one of the best things about having a playable option as a vampire and a werewolf is letting that player tear through the party, and you're like, you guys had the choice. You could have got rid of him, but no, you let him. You thought he was nice and powerful. Yes, he could be a werewolf. Yes, he could be a vampire, and he's so powerful. It's all good until he turns on you. So don't worry. Save that one for the vampire when we do the vampire, because I will do the vampire. Do they have deaf hearing too? Yeah. Look, I just put in basic sort of senses for the thing, and blind sight represents that. Can it cast spells? I'm not against you having a spell casting skeleton. You go for it. You cast spells. I don't care. That's why we need to have at least one language you can speak. Otherwise, it's a problem. Do you know what I mean? It might be just a little bit of a problem if you can't speak, particularly with the spells that have a verbal component. It doesn't state that you have to speak common or a specific language. You just need to be able to speak. And that allows you as a skeleton to actually cast spells. They would be good aligned, positive energy, or maybe they're just on the grey side of things. I don't know. You tell me. Have you got a formula here, John? Okay, all right. A combination of skeleton form and spiritual inhabitant. I believe you. I can tell you are here. There's a lot of comments coming through. Tolerant of high and low temperatures, has no flesh to freeze or cook. No, that's true. It's true. That's right. You got that right. Gets knocked off. Right, okay. I see where you're going with this. Susceptible to acid damage. They wouldn't be any more susceptible to or vulnerable to acid damage than something that had flesh. Do you know what I mean? You want to throw vinegar on them and they melt. What about dirty water from Dorothy? That could be a thing. Senses, vision. I'm just reading through here. Vulnerable to radiant damage. Do we feel like the skeleton should be vulnerable to radiant damage? Do we feel? I'm not actually against that idea, to be fair, negative space. I actually, it has been percolating in my brain a lot. So the character is trying to get on a flight. yeah, they have to take a plane. They don't get their own wings. Easy to... Okay. No, it's not the easy way to lich them. We're definitely not having a playable lich. I know players would love the idea of playing a lich, but nah. Nah. They can be the game master. They can be the dungeon master. If you want to play a lich, go play the game master, dungeon master role. Do that job. Okay? Plenty of people need it happening. Do that if you want to play lich. Okay. Let's deal with the next thing. I've got here poison immunity, but poison immunity doesn't actually solve a lot of our problems. We have to include a little bit more. So, let's go back to the skeleton. Since I was looking at the skeleton a second ago, and of course I didn't mark that page like the idiot that I am. But anyway, here we go. So there's a few things that the skeleton has that we need to actually imbue into our character. So now that we've got this, 1, 2, 3, we've only got 3 things. We're actually going to have 4 things, and they're not all good. We're going to put here undead immunity. Undead immunity. So you are immune to poison damage and the poison condition. I think that makes sense based off damage immunities, poison. It's part of the stat block. I actually think that makes sense. The question is, have we included enough? It also says that they are immune to the exhaustion condition. Additionally, you are immune to the... Doesn't ever, can't come up half the time anyway, but exhaustion. Can I actually see this? Exhaustion condition. I think that's our undead immunities covered damage-wise, condition-wise. Sweet. So let's unhighlight that. If there's anything that I need to add, you'll let me know. I know you will. And I'll take it under advisement. Next. I hate to say it, skeletal vulnerability. Oh, baby. Vulnerability. Is that right? Is that the word? Did I spell it right? No, I didn't. Okay, vulnerability. All right, so here we go. We're gonna add in some additional stuff. You are vulnerable to bludgeoning, damage, I'm very tempted to put in radiance as well. I really am. And radiance damage. I mean, that's not really a boon, is it? It's not something you really want if you're playing a skeleton. But I kind of feel like it makes sense. Now the question is, have I included enough things to make this feel like it's a skeleton? Some things are good, some things are bad. It's blind sight's a big deal. Skeletal vulnerabilities, not good. Undead immunity is good. Undead nature is good, apart from the being able to be turned by the undead special abilities. That's not going to be a very good thing. And we still allow you to potentially... Oh no, you can't read all right. You can speak one language that you knew while still alive, but can't read all right. And the problem is, if you need to... Oh, here's the... Okay, you can speak one language you knew while you were still alive, and can... read all right. Now, I'm going to put this in. You know why? Because I would eliminate it. If you're a wizard, you'd be screwed. You could be a wizard and you'd need to use books and you couldn't be able to write things in. To be fair, I'm not really intending the skeleton to be something you play permanently. In my group, it would be more of a... it's going to feel more like a Scooby-Doo session for a while. Do you know what I mean? The campaign will go down the Scooby-Doo route, because that's just how it happens in my games generally, whether I want it or not. So I think that's what I'll do with that. I'll make that slight adjustment. That will change things up a little bit. So now it comes down to just doing the fluff text and writing up the fluff text so that I'm happy with what that looks like, because right now it doesn't make sense because it doesn't reflect the skeleton at all. And I think I've got most of the bits and pieces there that I needed to have. Unless, of course, you guys disagree and you've got some better ideas that I need to add. Let's have a look. Haha. Okay. I'm looking. Tolerant of high-low temperatures. I think we can leave that alone. Get snuck. Oh, no, don't worry about that. Vinegar. We're not worrying about vinegar. So I've added the vulnerability to radiant damage, negative space. So I actually think that's not a bad idea. I like that idea a lot. Oh, Dread 2012. Dead. Hello, how are you? There was a 3rd edition, so I don't see why not. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Panel Rider, don't worry. We never stopped, dude. So you know me. I'm just gonna keep going. I think they should only be damaged by radiant if they're evil. No, I'm not doing that. No, I want you to still be smashed up potentially. Well, bludgeoning damage is still blunt and crushing damage. So yeah, vulnerable. We've got that in there. It's included, Fred. No problems. Done. Magic resistance in general would be the main feature of a PC humanoid skeleton, that they would be happy by creatures. I don't know that I necessarily, John, I would go with that. I wouldn't say that necessarily. I don't want to give every monster magic resistance. Do you know what I mean? Only the ones that really it makes sense that they should. And we've been dealing with a lot of high-end monsters recently. So, you know, when I did the red dragon, the adult red dragon, when I did the lich and the aboleth, that makes sense for them to have those. But I don't think it makes sense for everything. Resistance to fire damage. You know, I mean, the human body has bones and flesh. And your bones are just as likely to burn up as anything else. So I don't know that I would do that. Potion of milk heals the bones. Oh, that's quite funny. Nice one. You get points. You get points for that. That's very entertaining. Calcium supplements. The only way to heal is through calcium supplements. No, you're gonna have to take a rest. You're gonna have to rest, you little sucker. You're not gonna... Can they drink potions at all? No, they won't be drinking any potions. No. No drinking potions. No, you're out of luck. Okay, let me go back to this, and let's type up the fluff, because I need the fluff. My players get very upset when I make stuff and there's no fluff. They get really annoyed and upset when Wizards of the Coast creates game mechanics. These are power gamers, would you believe it? And there's no fluff. And they're like, where's the fluff? Where's the narrative story aspect? Why is it just a game mechanic? Where's the other things that I was looking for? It's nice to hear those words coming out of people's mouths. I really do like it a lot. Okay, you died, but didn't stay dead. Now you are the undead. Okay. You still look like the race or species you started out as, with some changes. Your skeletal body frame is the only thing left with, let's get rid of this, with white bones connected by a necromantic magic. Your now skeleton. Dun 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 dun. Character has these traits that replace any previous traits you had, and that's really where I'm going with this. It's really supposed to be treated like a template, with white bones connected by necromantic magic. Cool. All right. There we go. I think most of what I needed to have there is there. We're giving it away. Oh, you can see the Goliath down there. Is it coming next, though? That's the question. Am I doing the Goliath next? Is that a tip? No. Maybe. Or am I just teasing you? Am I just messing with you? It's possible. I don't think psychic attacks should be a problem. I think your consciousness is still there, so I think psychic attacks would make sense that it would still work on you. I don't want to give anything that says no, you can't be affected by that. Cast arthritis on them. Yeah, it's like the slow spell. Why not? Yeah. Yes. So you make a very good point, and I want to reiterate why I'm doing a playable skeleton race or species or template, okay? And the reason I don't want to, they get a lot of stuff that's really good, but they get some stuff that isn't so good, okay? Can they drink potions at all? And I've excluded that. So they're not going to be able to drink potions because magic spells and so forth won't affect them to return their hit points. They don't need to eat anything because they're a skeleton, but they can rest to get back their hit points. Okay, that's not excluded from the list of stuff. It's literally just the skeleton connected by magic and the consciousness within it. That's what I'm trying to do with. So not being able to drink potions is deliberately done to motivate my group, my players playing the character to getting their real body back. So if I decide, okay, they want to keep playing the character, so how do I keep bringing them back into the game? There's only a skeleton remaining, and there's no magic, and I don't want to use reincarnate again, because usually when somebody dies in my group, everybody starts chanting reincarnate, and you only need to have a piece of the person to do that, right? I want them to have time where they can play this and work towards leveling up and the group getting access to a spell that will allow them to maybe use reincarnate or at least return their body to normal by going on some sort of story-like adventure, like going on a quest to get their body back to normal. Okay? I never really plan these sorts of things when I'm dealing with undead with the idea that they will always be dead and undead. Did I mean? The idea is that I want them to be able to use that as to help push the adventure and whatever collective story that comes out of our shenanigans. I want to push it in some direction, and I don't want it to stay still. So I want to motivate them to get back to some normalcy rather than walking around as a skeleton for the rest of their life, okay? So it is designed deliberately to do that. It's dinner time for negative space. Cool. Petrification. Oh, hang on. Did you say petrification just makes the bones hard? Yes, you're good point, Fred. You do make a good point. Petrification. Yeah, petrification would not make any sense at all, wouldn't it? That would be quite silly. I need to include that as well, don't I? It would just mean, yeah, there's no flesh. It's hinging on magic. I think I agree with that. It's actually, I think you might have mentioned that to me a little while ago, Fred Huber. Could add false limbs. Okay, let's have a look at petrification And maybe I need to add that as well. So being petrified would not be a thing for you if you're a skeleton. I'm kind of all right with that. I mean, I suppose you could say your bones are going from bone to stone, but I mean, it almost feels like, Fred, your point is that petrification for the monster skeleton makes no sense either. That's where you're really going with this, aren't you? Is that it actually probably makes no sense that you can be petrified if you're a skeleton, because you're already like bone. You're close to stone as it is. I suppose there could be an argument that's not really the case, but yeah, you know, I think you're right. I think you're right about. Let's go down here and make an adjustment. So I will go back to my page here, since you've made that point, and I actually I tend to agree with you. I think you're right. You are immune to poison damage and the poison condition. Additionally, you are immune to the exhaustion and petrified pet. And I was petrified condition. There we go. There it is. Got to be careful. Can't go singing songs on YouTube because that'll just get me in trouble with some sort of copyright infringement going on there. So don't sing. No singing. Okay, so I think I've got most of what I needed to have here done. Amazing. Well, no, not really. no, it's not. Okay, let me get comfortable. Let's go through this. I'll drink some water. We've been at this for just about an hour, which is wonderful. I'm always happy when it's an hour and we're mostly done. Cool. Anyway, let's have a look here. So we have a skeleton race species. Really, it's a template. And this is designed to be used when your characters die and all that's left is their skeletal frame. And really, it's not intended to be used as a starting campaign, you know, starting out at character 1, at level 1 with your skeleton in Dungeons & Dragons 5e as a level 1 character. It's not really where my head was at. It's more if a calamity occurs and you want to keep them playing, and you want to keep the narrative making a little bit of sense, although let's get real. The nonsensical stuff in a fantasy world like Dungeons & Dragons is kind of a thing, you know? It can't be divorced. So you died but didn't stay dead. Now you are the undead. You still look like the race or species you started out as, but with some changes. Your skeletal body frame is the only thing left, with white bones connected by romantic magic. I'm only kidding. You know what I mean. The necro stuff. Your skeleton character has these traits that replace any previous traits you had. Okay, so you can do pretty much whatever you like with the ability scores. Okay, so that means you can increase 1 by 2 or increase 1 by 2 and another one by 1, a different one. Or you select 3 and increase each one of those by 1. So that means you don't need to really change the maths or the stats on your existing character because it should already have been built on this basic framework in the first place. So you shouldn't have a lot of maths to change. So that's easy. You change yourself to being the creature type undead. You can be whatever the heck age you want to be. It doesn't really matter. So we don't have to worry about that. That's dealt with. Your size factor, you pick small or medium. You could be 2 feet tall. You could be 7 foot tall. It doesn't matter. That's all going to be based on whatever you were before. Okay, so that's easy to deal with. Your base walking speed is whatever you were when you were alive, or it's 30 feet if maybe you're doing something a bit wacky and you decided, I'm going to have people starting out at level 1 as a skeleton. Up to you. Blind sight. I hate to say it, but I didn't like the idea of using the dark vision. I've given blind sight to 60 feet. And I think that makes more sense. You can't discern color or bright light. You only see black and white. That's it. And your senses aren't based on your eyes or your ears or your nose because they're gone. They're decayed. They're removed. You've got magical senses now. That makes more sense to me. Your skeletal vulnerability, unfortunately, bludgeoning damage you're vulnerable to, and so is radiant damage going to be a bad thing for you, okay? So don't stay out in the sun too long. Undead immunities. Okay, we had vulnerability, now we have immunities. You are immune to poison damage and the poison condition. Additionally, immune to exhaustion and petrification. So petrified, not going to work. You have undead nature. So in other words, skeleton doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep. You can't be healed by magic, like healing word or cure wounds. You can be forced to flee or destroyed by turn undead special abilities. I hate to say it. That means if you want to get your hit points back, you're going to have to take a rest. Okay? Sorry, people. If your character, whose skeletal character or skeleton character, is resurrected by magic or spells, they'll return to life as a living creature, not a skeleton, but retain all of their memories. Now, the intention is that you work towards becoming a living creature rather than remain a skeleton. That's really where I'm going with this, okay? If you think this whole section is way too harsh, it's deliberately to force my players to do something with their character and get them out of this skeletal form that they've currently got. Languages, well, you understand all the languages you knew while you were alive, but you can't speak them anymore, but you can speak one language that you knew, okay? And you can read and you can write. So we've got that. You can cast spells. That is the playable race species skeleton in a nutshell. I think that should work quite nicely so that I don't have to, on the fly, figure out what I'm going to do when somebody says, oh, can I keep playing as the skeleton that's left by the gelatinous cube that just ate me? We're all good now. Okay, all right. I think that's got us where we need to be. I am ready to tootle off. So, to make it clear for those of you who are still here, if there is anybody still here, this change on my channel is, I think, going to be permanent. As I work towards semi-retirement, that doesn't mean I'm fully retiring. I am semi-retiring, let's say, from YouTube. I'm semi-retiring from my day job shortly, okay, in about 2 months, maybe a little bit more. I want to tone down everything in my life and have a little bit more time to myself. So here's where I'm thinking. I'll do my design stuff on a Thursday here in New Zealand, which I believe is Wednesday in North America, okay? I won't live stream on a Friday or a Saturday, except for on a Friday in New Zealand, which is your Thursday in North America. The Game Master Roundtable stuff on Wally DM's channel, I'll do. Okay? All good with that. Maybe you'll get an extra live stream, but I'm going to move myself more towards doing 4 or 5 rather than 6 every week. Because it was kind of breaking me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So I need to look after myself. And also, too, I'm not giving myself enough time to be able to take what I've done and at least put the first draft up onto Patreon. So I'll put the first draft of the skeleton up onto Patreon. I will hopefully get the adult Red Dragon stat block that I did onto Patreon, the remastering. I'll hopefully get the Lich up there too. I made some changes to it. And the Aboleth and Fred Huber, yes, I made some changes to that, as you suggested. The Aboleth stat block that I remastered will also go up. There's so much for me to catch up on. I need to give myself less time in front of the camera and more time doing the hard yakka in the back row, basically, away from prying eyes, so I can actually get things done. Otherwise, you're never going to see this. It's always just going to wind up being a live stream and nothing else. So, to rectify that problem, I'm going to do less live streaming, and I'm going to work a bit more on getting the stuff to Patreon a bit faster, at least in terms of a first draft. Okay, that includes the adventures, because we do an adventure every single week as well. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to get the adventures up that we do up, at least the first draft every week as well, and I'm just not allowing myself enough time to do that. So next week we'll come back and we'll do something else. I don't know what we'll do. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something just crazy. I haven't decided. Not really. I have some ideas, but I have some ideas. We will be doing some revisions to some of the classes for Dungeons and Dragons 5e, and I will be doing some of the backgrounds. But since backgrounds have been kind of a bit scary for me, and the classes take me 4 or 5 hours, I think if I'm doing the classes, it has to be on a day where I'm not working. And I still work on a Thursday, so it ain't going to work. I need to change that. Anyway, your vacation, my vacation is much better. Good. I'm glad your vacation was better. All right, let's end this poll. It's an interesting question, right? Do you think there should be a playable skeleton race or template for Dungeons & Dragons 5e? Yes, 70% out of 17 votes. No, 17%. Okay, undecided 11%. This is very interesting. You want me to design level 10 spells? How about we just design spells? We can get to spells. Fred, I'm all with it. Do we have to do level 10 spells? Is there really that much difference between a level 10 and a level 9 spell? Okay, is there? What the heck would we design at level 10? You tell me. I'm not too sure where we're going with that. Anyway, I need to get out of here because I probably should be starting to put this up onto Patreon if I have enough time before I go to work. That would be the smart thing, right? So huge thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening. Thank you for taking part in the poll if you did. Huge thank you to all of my patrons who support me on Patreon. I really do appreciate it. It's a big help, and I'm really liking the fact that a few more people have jumped on. I know a few people have jumped off. I'm going to apologize now, patrons. You're going to get spammed this month. I hate to say it. There's going to be quite a lot of stuff going your way, and yeah, just bear with me as the notifications in your email probably get a little bit overloaded. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. A big, huge thank you for those of you in chat. Fred Huber, Pale Rider, John, Per Shum, Nacho, who was here as well. I'm going to probably miss somebody. I said Pale Rider already, didn't I? Dread 2012. Thank you so much for your feedback as well. I do appreciate it. And if I have missed you, which I probably have, because I think there were a few other people in here. I know a couple of you were doing most of the heavy lifting today. But anyway. Oh, EC. Don't forget EC. I said Big Kid. Did I say Big Kid? I think I said a Big Kid in EC. Negative Space. I said Negative Pearsham. Yeah, I think I've got everybody now. I think that's... I'll see R. Good blimey. All right, there's a few of you. And Chimera. Man... I'm sure I butchered that name really badly. I apologize. Sorry about that. Anyway, wherever you are, okay, in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, or the night, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Fred, I sympathise. If your computer crashed and you've got to re-upload everything, that is going to be a drag. At least you know where it is.